Hi, my name's George Mueller, and this is an introduction to History 136-61 for the summer of 2021. And the first thing we need to talk about is the textbook for your class. For this class, you need Liberty, Equality, and Power, preferably the 7th edition and the Cengage Advantage version. Now, there are obviously earlier editions. If you get the 5th or 6th online, that's fine. They're cheaper. There may be a few things in the last chapter that are different, but we can work around that when we get to it. If you get a version that's not the Cengage Advantage, it'll be the same book with different numbers, and you'll get prettier pictures. So that'll work. The thing to make sure is that you get Volume 2. The book should start by talking about the end of the Civil War and move through to almost the present day. If you get a version that starts talking about colonizing the Americas, that's the wrong book. Get Volume 2, or there are also combined editions that have both of the books combined into one. That's fine too. It's just heavy and annoying and expensive. Speaking of annoying and expensive, Canvas is something we need to talk about. And that is where this class actually takes place. Now, we have this new homepage. The module clickers aren't working. I'm going to fix that today, hopefully. But the truth is, this homepage is worthless. Here are the places to go for this class. Go to Announcements, and every week I'll give you an overview of what's due on Monday. I'll give you an overview of what's due the following Sunday. So you can go through and checklist things. Also, if anything weird happens, I'll put that up there. When I do Zoom office hours, I'll put them up here, and you can know when I'm doing those. The main place to go, though, is to modules. This class is laid out, so the idea is you would go to modules, and you would start, and just move down. So start off the first time you open this by reading Getting Started Checklist. Eventually, before June 6th at midnight, do the Module 0 discussion and introduce yourself. That'll get us talking to each other. And generally speaking, you go through a module, and then when you get done, go ahead and collapse it, so you know you're done with it. You can always open it back up. The only one you won't do that to is the research paper. The research paper will be available on Monday, and it's something that you'll be working on the whole semester. We'll introduce that when we get to the appropriate place. The next thing, and the thing that will take up most of your time in this class, are the modules. Modules are open for a 2-week period, and the idea is that, so the first module opens 6-1, and then all the assignments contained within it should be completed before 6/13, which is a Sunday night at midnight. And the idea is, by having that 2-week window, you can work ahead. So you always have 2 weeks where you can go on vacation or something without otherwise disrupting the class, by just working ahead and then working on catch-up when you get back. That seems to fulfill most students' needs. Now, if you need something else because, say, you're going on a 4-week vacation in the middle of the class. I know some people took this class with that idea in mind. We work with that on an individual basis. I can open things up to you individually as we need to. I don't do that for everyone because each class has individual needs, and I make changes to assignments based on the needs of the class. And also, I need to have you answering questions on some assignments together. So I can't have people who have, finished the whole class and they have to come back and answer a few questions. So that's why there's that 2-week thing. It keeps us all working the whole semester, and I find it just works better for students and for me. Like I said, though, if you have some kind of an emergency or you have some kind of need, contact me. And that's a real lesson for these online classes. We will have problems. The internet will go down. At some point during college, you'll lose your hard drive while you're working on a term paper. It happened to me. It happened to everybody I know. It will happen to you. We can work through all of these things. Also, back up to the cloud. Just do it. It's easy. Anyway, but the point is, we can work through all of these problems as long as you stay in contact with me. I put up announcements on the announcements board. Sometimes I will send individual people emails. Either way, the idea is we need to keep the flow of communication going both ways. So if somebody gets sick, okay, it's 2021, I know that happens, we can deal with it. But back to the modules. Each module is laid out the same way, with an overview, which has a list of all the assignments that are due laid out in checklist form. The reading assignment, reading guides, which if you have the non-Cengage Advantage, are also in your textbook. Use the ones that I give you, because I sometimes add in either questions that I think are better than the ones the textbook had, or I add in terms that the textbook left out. We also have video lectures. These are short lectures, less than 15 minutes long each, because of the software I use, but video lectures that go through each chapter, or each module. There's usually 2 for each module, but that can vary a little bit. Let's see. The other thing that I should mention is there are discussions in every module. The discussions are a place for you to answer a question that I posed. There is a rubric to go with the discussions, and if you read through that, you'll see I'm looking for about a quarter of a page to half a page of you thinking deeply and answering the question. If you get to a full page, stop. That's very long. If you get to 2 pages, that's way too long. I probably won't mark off points for it, but I'll think that you're working too hard on that, or you're too verbose. The other thing that we have in each chapter is a reading quiz. Reading quizzes are objective questions, and the idea is you would actually sit down with the textbook and look up the answers. Now, there is something I need to mention. There is a weird bug in either me or Canvas, and I actually think it's Canvas in this case because other instructors complain about this happening, where sometimes it will change the correct answer. So if you're taking a reading quiz and it gives you an answer, tells you that you're wrong when you're pretty sure you're right, send me an email. If you're the first person to find that flaw, you'll get a point or 2 of extra credit. And my thanks. Because those reading quizzes have been used in a couple classes and they should be clean, and they're not. Let's see. Did I mention that you can use the textbook while you're taking the reading quiz? Because you can. That's the expectation. The next thing are video viewing guides. There's assignments where I have you watch a video that goes along with the chapter, and I give you a text document that you download, you answer the questions right on it, and then resubmit that to me. I know some people actually do it with their phone. That's fine. That works perfectly for me. And the idea is that kind of guides you as you're watching the video to what I think are important parts. The next big thing that we have a lot of are document exercises. This is where I give you a document to read, and I give you some questions to answer about the document. And, well, that's kind of straightforward, really. The idea is that helps lead you up to, lead you to some conclusions and lead you to evidence about history that will help you form your own opinions. And that's really what this class is about. I'm not telling you what's right or wrong. Now, within the educational sphere, there are different opinions about whether you should or shouldn't. I'm of the opinion my duty is to guide you to evidence that will help you form opinions and make them informed opinions. So you can disagree with me. That's fine, that's good. Heck, sometimes I play devil's advocate and argue things that I don't believe to make you think about why you disagree. The research project will appear here shortly. It's a copy. It's in a couple places in the modules because you're going to read through and start thinking about that in that first week. I wanted to talk a little bit about Module 2. Module 2 has 3 chapters. It's the only module in the class that has 3. It just makes the class flow better if I do that. Chapter 19 and 20, they need 21. So it does make Chapter 2, or Module 2, a little bit extra work. So while you're working on Module 1, better look at Module 2. Module 2 also has the first exam. We'll have an introduction to the exam a little bit later in the class. There will be an actual video on the exam itself, and talking a little bit about the exam and the rubric and what I'm looking for. So that's coming up as its own video. That said, I think at the beginning of this, I didn't actually introduce myself. My name is George Mueller. I've been teaching at Heartland since 2000. Well, I've worked at Heartland since 2001. I think I've been teaching since 2003. So, I'm old. That said, I've done online a bunch of times in a variety of formats. You're not going to find something I haven't seen before. Hopefully. Whew. Don't attempt 2021 too much. You're also going to find I have a terrible, awful sense of humor. That goes with being a historian. My specialty is actually European history, in particular early modern, which means 19th century European history. So History 102 is my favorite class in the world. That said, this is an okay class. We'll get through it together just fine. I think I said earlier, communication is a key to getting through these classes. So if you have problems, contact me. I'm going to put up my office hours when I'm doing those Zoom office hours shortly. I do need to warn you, I'm buying a house this semester. So I get to move in the middle of the class. Woo! I mean, it's good. I'm getting a pool, so that's fun. But that said, there will be a couple days when I'm unavailable. I don't know exactly when they're going to be, but for things like closing and things like that, I'll be unavailable for a bit. It shouldn't cut into the class too much, though. So, like I said, if you need anything, send me an email, and have a good day.